Thank you all for being here, and thank you for taking the time out of your evening to come and to learn together and to participate in this community that we have sought to create and to use as a resource to help and to serve. I'm really happy to be able to offer this now for free and to share it with you and your friends and neighbors and family members and anybody else that might have the need to be here or the need of the information. So I'll send you all a copy of the recording, and it'll be posted to my YouTube channel, and you're welcome to share that and bless the lives of others. I hope this is a blessing to you and to anyone that you feel the need that has a need of help in improving their finances. That's why we're here. Um, you can see the rules of the group coaching. It's a little different than our one-on-one. I ask you to just mute yourself while unless you're asking a question or answering or wanting to participate. Please be present. Avoid those distractions. Often our mind wanders, so grab that and put it back in, and make sure you're paying attention, because this really does have the power to benefit and bless your life. This is a safe place, right? This is an open opportunity to learn from each other. So we ask for your confidentiality and to support each other. And please come to learn, come to share, and come to improve. That's why we are all here. And we learn. And I've had comments from my personal clients that they say, somebody said something in the group session, and it just kind of hit me a different way, right? It just kind of woke me up. So it was really helpful. So that's the point of this, is to learn from each other. Some of you hear enough from me. Some of you are working with some of my other coaches, but this is the opportunity where we get to learn from each other and share best practices. And how did you guys do this? And how does this work for you? And often the greatest learning is what you can gain from each other. As a level set, I always start with the baby steps, a quick review. You've probably heard this a lot or seen this, depending on your familiarity with Dave Ramsey. But this is, again, just to level set us so we're all under the same understanding. Today, we're going to be referencing some of these in our recipe to become a millionaire. Baby steps are, again, baby step one, start off, get $1,000 in your beginner emergency fund. It's not very much. It's not meant to be. It is just there to take the edge off of things. So if an emergency happens, you reach for the savings account instead of reaching for a credit card. The $1,000 doesn't go very far. We understand that. But it's just about having enough to just take the edge off and then plow into your baby step two, which is paying off all of your debt except for your house. Includes your student loans, it includes your rental property, whatever your debts might be. We're going to pay off all of that on baby step two. Then we go back to saving. Baby step three is to save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Those are for big emergencies, like maybe an income loss. If I lost a job and I had to find a new job, that gives me a 3 to 6 month bridge to find another job. Unlike one of my clients, she lost her job and she had to go take the first job that was offered to her, even though it was a significant pay cut, because she didn't have any savings. We didn't have the bridge. So beggars can't be choosers. So she had to go get a job. Having 3 to 6 months after becoming debt free allows you to have that peace of mind. Now I want to build it to 30,000, 50,000, 60,000, right? Whatever your 3 to 6 months is. Then we move to baby step four. We stop saving for now and we start saving for the future, investing 15% of our income into retirement. Then we save for kids' college, if that's applicable to you. Then we pay off, baby step six is pay off our house, if that's applicable to you. If you don't own a house, or if you wanted to buy a house, we would go back up and insert that into baby step 3B to save enough to have a down payment for our house, making sure that we're doing it at the right time, having the preparation, having a down payment, making sure that the payment doesn't kill us and we become house poor. We want to avoid that, right? We don't want to turn the American dream of home ownership into the American nightmare where it's drowning us every single month. So baby step six, pay it off. Baby step seven, the ultimate goal is to build wealth and give. As Dave Ramsey says, we want to live like no one else so that later on we can live and give like no one else. So this is the opportunity to jump in. Any questions, comments? This is an open forum. Anybody have a question or a comment or a rebuttal against any of those baby steps? Anything on your mind that you want to bring up or clarify?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So my question is for the invest 15% of your income for retirement. So I have a
Yes.
401k right now that my employer matches, but
Yeah.
So like I'm contributing, or I was contributing like 8%, and they matched up to 6%. So is
Mhm.
that 15 the total of what I am plus what they're matching, or am I hitting like, am I going into my T Rowe Price account and going 15% of my paycheck goes to that?
Good question. Yeah, should I do 15 on my own, or do I do nine and let them
Right,
do the other six, right?
right.
If you can, right, this now becomes a budgeting question. Can you afford to do 15%? Because that is the goal, and let their match be the extra. Because
But
what this is, go ahead. You were
no,
saying something?
sorry. So that fit. So then yes, that 15% is me going into my T Rowe
You.
Price 401k and me
Yeah.
putting 15% of my paycheck every 2 weeks. Okay. All right. I just wanted
Yeah.
to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a great, often that question comes up to say like, can I just like, can we do it together and I do nine and they do six? I made it. Well, sometimes that's all you can do because I'm still working through my budget. I've paid off my debt. Done saving, but it's tight getting 15. That's a goal. We're going to push ourselves
Yeah.
to get to that 15%. So great,
Okay.
great question. Thank you for that clarifying question. Any other
Yep.
questions about any of the baby steps? And feel free, you can put it in the chat as well if you don't want to come off of mute. Cameras and microphones are optional. You're welcome to put it in the chat, and I'll do my best at multitasking, watching the chat as well as the your hands raised and so forth. Any other thoughts, questions, or comments about the baby steps? All right, let's go to coaching follow-up. This is a monthly coaching program where we get to learn and help each other. And I always follow up because homework is always assigned. If you know me, there's always homework because that's where we make the progress. You can't just go to class and not do any homework and don't make any changes. Otherwise, nothing will change. Actually, it will change. It'll make you more frustrated because now you know what you're not doing. Remember, ignorance is bliss. Once you gain knowledge and you don't do anything with it, it causes frustration, right? That knowledge is can condemn us, so we don't want to do that. All right, so let's talk about our last group's coaching session. So we had talked about achieving flow and creating happiness. Happiness is not just an accident. You can create it. Just like tonight, we're going to talk about becoming a millionaire. That's not an accident. So we talked about that. What did you try out? How did you apply what you learned? And what did you do as a result of attending group coaching last month? Anybody want to share what they did this past month to create some more happiness in their life? Some of you weren't not here, so maybe if you want to share, maybe that'll help them understand what. Well, that sounds interesting. How do you create happiness? It is possible. Anybody want to share? Yes, go ahead. You're gonna come off of mute.
I think I wasn't here for the group session last month, but I found that happiness is a decision. It has a lot to do with not so much what things are happening around us, but our reaction to them. And so we can decide to have a perspective on those things. And so we have to choose to be happy.
Excellently said. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely, it is a decision. Often we think, and that's what we talked about last month. Sometimes we think happiness is a result of what happens around me, instead of saying it's a choice of something that I will create independent of what is happening around me. That is an interesting way of looking at that. I can create happiness by doing the things that bring me happiness instead of just waiting here in the drive-through of life saying, will someone please deliver me some happiness? Is that delivered by Uber or DoorDash or Instacart? I'd like to give me a supersize of that. Well, maybe I need to create me some happiness. Okay. In general, what successes or wins have you had? All of us are on this different journey, right? At different baby steps. I say the baby steps, and everybody's at a different one. I have clients at every single one of the baby steps, including baby step 0, wanting to get to start saving. And I've got baby steps that are people at baby step 7. So anybody want to share with successes or wins that you've had over the past month? Could be financially, could be in any regard. This is where we get to celebrate with you. And celebration is the fastest way to increase the behavior and to make things habits. So the more you celebrate, the more your behavior will change. So, anybody want to celebrate? Yes, go ahead. Come on off mute again.
Brian, I'm a talker, so
Love it. Me too.
very briefly, we just started with financial coaching with Jenny. And so we're like 2 sessions in. And I think our biggest success was doing the every dollar budget. And I had to make a category of miscellaneous to hold the money that we didn't have as budget items because we just didn't need it. But we didn't realize we had all that margin because we weren't paying attention. We had no idea where the money was going. Some months we had enough, some months we didn't, but we had no clue. And so it was a success to see that money there. And if we need to pull from it and assign it to a different category, then we have it there for now. And I'm sure we'll get better at it and really get every dollar assigned to a specific category, not miscellaneous.
Yeah. Often, right? That's a win just to have a miscellaneous category. Because most people, their life is in the miscellaneous category. I'm like, I have no idea where my money is going. Right? I wonder, and I stand around wondering where it goes. And then you actually do one of those first exercises. We're going to talk about that. That's in tonight's lesson. Is you do an exercise and you start wondering where the heck your money goes. You start telling it where to go. You realize, where the heck is that much money? I do like that. Check the couch cushions because I do not know where that money is sitting. It happens with every client that I go through that because awareness. Why is that the first pillar of the 4 pillars of success that I teach? Right? We have got to know where the heck it's going and then start telling it to go, right? Vision, right? Then start executing. That's the 3rd pillar. Having accountability, making sure you're actually doing it. So I'm so happy that it works, right? It's not rocket science. We're going to learn that tonight. How do I become a millionaire? Small, simple steps like that. Thank you for sharing. Any other wins and successes that you've had this past month? Anything we can celebrate together. I know you're having things, and sometimes it's a learned skill to stop and catch the wins. Often people are like, nothing. It was just a normal week. You showed up tonight. You made space for this event. So that's a win. You're here. And for some of you, it's been a long time since I've seen you. And it just makes me smile. I'm like, hey, I know them. I know them. It's been like 3 years. I've seen you. It's been a long time. I hope you're doing well. Maybe you know who I'm talking, or you know I'm talking to you. Thank you for being here. Right, this is a win for you guys to be here. So, thank you. There's the information about ways to connect. I put it in the chat. Oh, Shantae says in the chat, I got to watch that. Not using payday loan apps. That's a huge win. Shantae, thank you for sharing that. Excellent job. That's a big one, right? Those payday loans, cash apps, right? They get a lot of people. So good job. And we're so happy for you that not having to use those things, right? That's awesome. In the chat, that reminded me to watch for that with Shantae's comment, right? There's ways to get a hold of me. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. Help you to break out of your ruts and comfort zones. We love 5-star reviews for me or any of my coaches. As you've heard, right? There's other coaches that you have an opportunity to work with in my organization. We love the 5-star reviews, and please share my website with anyone that might need help with their own financial journeys. All right, let's dive in because we got a lot to talk about. So tonight we're going to talk about creating a recipe for success. Just like we heard about happiness, I can create happiness. Well, can I create success? Maybe. That's what we're going to talk about. So, any bakers out there? How do you make a lemon meringue pie? Right? Is that easy? Is that like just whip out the mix and put some eggs and water and woo, right? Benny Crocker that? No. Right? Lemon meringue. I purposely choose that one because it's tough. We had to make one in home ec in junior high school, and I still remember that. So it's an interesting experience. So what do I need? What do you need to make a lemon meringue pie? I need ingredients. I need instructions. I need an order of operations. When do I beat the egg whites? When do I put the stuff together? right? You can do things backwards and it won't come out. When do I put the chocolate in? Wrong recipe. That's something else. Right? If your lemon meringue pie keeps coming out chocolate, watch your ingredients. Comes out not looking like that, watch your order of operations. You're right. Follow the recipe. And you need equipment, not just a mixer and throw it in the oven. So success, like a lemon meringue pie, is not an accident. It's going to take a lot of these same elements. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. But success leaves clues. Tony Robbins says this, right? Success leaves clues. So if you do what successful people do, then you'll become successful too. Just follow their example. Just copy them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? What do they do to make money? What do they do to become a millionaire? Just follow their example. What'd you do to lemon meringue pie? Okay, I'll just follow your example, and mine will probably come out close to yours. Maybe not as good as yours because you got way more practice than me, but I can follow instructions. So that's what we're going to learn about tonight is creating a success recipe to become a millionaire. As I said in my email, I'm not usually this direct. People sometimes will ask, like, just give me the steps, Brian. Okay, fine. So what are those keys to success with my money? What are the ingredients? What are those steps? What formula for success is there that will increase my chances of success? Is there an easy road? It's not complicated, but it can be hard because there's a lot of human nature in there. As many of you know, my brand of coaching is a lot of strategy and math, but also a lot of psychology and behavior because I got to get my head in it, I got to get my heart in it, and I got to get my hands in it. And that can be a challenge. So it's not complicated, but there is a formula. So what are the habits? So these are the questions I'm trying to prime your minds with of what are those habits? What do I need to do? Just tell me what to do and give me the recipe. These steps come from a book. You're all welcome to read for the full details. I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version tonight, but it is The Millionaire Next Door, written by Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko. And they studied all these millionaires and found out they're not the ones on Park Avenue and Beverly Hills and in the nice hotels. They're not the ones driving around with the nice cars and the big, huge houses, right? Those people are broke. So it's the one next door. My neighbors next door might be millionaires. Interesting. You might not be able to tell. They might be in overalls. They might be in driving used cars. So we're going to talk about a lot of that's in the book, and tonight we're going to give you the Cliff Notes version. All right, so there are, I believe, 7 lessons that I want you to pay attention to. You're welcome to take notes. I'm going to send you the recording of this so you can watch it and repeat and again share it. Be a millionaire in 7 even easy steps. Sounds like an infomercial. It's going to be a lot of work. So let's figure it out. Let's dive in. So what are they? All right, first step, lesson 1, live below your means. As we go through this, you might say, well, no, duh. Like, well, yeah, of course. Those are the keys to success. Are you doing them? You might know them, but are you living them? I always remember, and I love quoting this. I had a client, she's still a client, been a couple of years together. And in our very first session, she really pushed back on me. She's like, Brian, what are you going to tell me that I don't already know? And I said, nothing. I'm going to make you do what you know. Dang it. And we've been working together for over 2 years. So live below your means. It's not rocket science. So now we're going to stick with me, ask questions. We want this to be highly participative. If you have like, what the heck does that mean? Because there's some terms and there's some, I don't want to lose you. So we're going to talk about net worth. Okay. Those are your assets minus your liabilities. Good news is there's a free copy of my worksheet that I work with my clients on. It's on the dinwoodyconsulting.com resources. If you go on the right there at the top of there's a tab called resources. You can have access to all of this stuff for free. So what the heck is an asset? It is something worth cash, but you got to be realistic with the values, right? Take the equity in your home, the car value, the cash, the investments. Some people like putting their personal property. These are garage sale values, not, well, it's worth $1 million for me, that crayon picture from my son. What's the garage sale value? I was just talking with the client and they had listed their insurance. And I said, whoa, time out. Is that an asset? If you leave your job and you don't have access to that life insurance policy anymore, or if my term policy ends is it worth anything? It's worth something if I die, but that's not an asset I want to go and I don't look forward to accruing that asset. Right? I hope I never need that. So it's not really an asset. Insurance, unless it's cash value from a whole life policy, which we don't recommend, that's the only time insurance would count as an asset. Most of the time, it's just there as an insurance policy. It's like your car insurance. Is that an asset? No. My car is the asset. The insurance just protects that asset. So liabilities, on the other hand, is something that you owe. Credit card debt, rent, car payment, student debt, right? Things that I'm owing. I don't have any equity. I don't have any ownership in rent, right? My money is going down the drain. My credit card debt, it's not, I owe this money. So your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. And that tells you your, like, if we were to sell everything you own minus the liabilities, this is how much money you have. So step 2, determine your monthly expenses on that budget. Again, another free resource on the Dinwiddie website in the resources tab. You can have access to that and share it. Just an opportunity to track your expenses. If you're doing one-on-one coaching, you already have a copy of this in your OneDrive. So we want to look at our fixed expenses, those things that are known every month. It's the same amount, same things. I just have to pay these bills. Now, the other side is variable expenses. That's based on my behavior. So how much do I eat out? That's an accordion that grows and it shrinks. So those are variable expenses, not my fixed expenses. And we want to maximize your capacity, right? How big of a shovel do you have to dig yourself out of here and to make your pile of money? That's your income minus your expenses. That's how much money is left over each month that you can use towards your goals. And the goal here is to maximize that. How do I maximize it? Increase your income, decrease your expenses. You may not have to give up stuff. You decide the pace, but this is the path. You want to be a millionaire? Then we get really creative on, I'm going to cut this subscription. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to clean my own house. I'm going to mow my own lawn. I'm going to wash my own car. So those things are going to help you to maximize your capacity. So cut your expenses, increase your income. The math doesn't care. But I really like this. The math doesn't care. If you're in the negative or if you have a very small amount of capacity, you're not going to get very far. So let's pause for a second, come up for air and see, are there any questions about lesson number 1 on the Millionaire Next Door on living below your means? Any questions, comments, anything anybody want to jump in and talk about? All right, let's go to lesson. Oh, here's the pictures of what they look like. The personal financial statement, so you can track your assets, your liabilities, and see if they're growing, if they're shrinking. At the very end, there's a totals tab, and it'll show you every month how are things going. Are your assets going up? Are your liabilities going down? Am I making progress? We want to prove to yourself that things are getting better. This is the current financial snapshot in the resources tab. I think the version there looks a little different. I just added some additional columns based on working with some clients this week that wanted to make some changes and enhancements. Coaching is a live experience. I'm always getting better and encouraging you all to get better. And so things adapt and evolve over time. But that's a way to the left column on the blue, right? The bills, those fixed expenses, the salmon color, the variable expenses, my income, my bank information, my debts, my mortgage, right? Long-term debt, short-term debts. So use it as a resource so you can track your expenses, even if you need a miscellaneous category on there. All right, lesson 2, save and invest a significant portion of your income. Like we heard at the beginning, right? Should I put 15 myself in or use 6 of my company, right? We want to invest and save a significant portion of your income. The time value of money, that is what we want. We want time on your side. That's why you got to get out of debt. We need to be investing because the time, the compounding nature of money is amazing. I believe Einstein, the urban legend says that Einstein said that it was the 8th wonder of the world. So we have got to save and invest. So busy slide here, but you got to decide your financial goals and your priorities. Maybe it's to build savings. That's baby step 1 and 3. Maybe it's to eliminate debt. That's baby step 2. Maybe your financial goals are to buy a house. That's baby step 3B. Save for retirement. That's baby step 4. Save for kids' college. Baby step 5. Pay off your house, baby step 6, and live and give like no one else, baby step 7. So identify where you are in the map, on the path, and you've really got to become very specific. That's right. Come up with your goal and then do the math. Often people are scared of math. They hate it. Right? I don't even want to do it. Right? It's not going to bite you. We just got to calculate your goal achievement time frame. Right? It's not hard math. We're going to walk through a scenario right now, a case study. Let's say I have myself or my client says I want to get out of debt. That's their goal. So their goal is to pay off $43,000 worth of debt. And so we want our goal. Let me go back. Goal is the goal. I want to pay off my debt, and divide that by your regular behavior, because there's probably some normal in the debt perspective, right? There's normal payments that I have to make, plus my capacity. If I can take some of that miscellaneous and throw it onto my debt snowball in this case, or whatever my goal is, right? That's going to be my time frame. I want to know, when am I going to be a millionaire? When am I going to be debt free? So in this example, $43,000 worth of debt. My regular debt payments are $700. That could be any combination of cars and credit cards and whatever, personal loans, student loans, whatever. I want to pay off 43,000, and I normally, my fixed expenses, I got to pay $700. But I have a capacity of $300 a month because I cut some subscriptions. I got a hold of my miscellaneous. I don't eat out as much anymore. I am now in control of my finances, and I came up with $300. So that is my $300. What do I do with that? Well, I throw it on the 700. So my time frame becomes the 43,000 divided by the $1,000, right? 700 is normal, 300 is my discipline. So how long is this thing going to take me? 43 months or 3.6 years. And often when I do this with my clients, it's amazing just to have that awareness. Like, I thought this was going to take forever. No, it's going to take you 3.6 years. So how's 2027, Christmas of 2027 looking? Wow, I didn't know it was that fast. And sometimes when you quantify it, it creates momentum, and you're like, I want this done in 3 years. All right, fine. How do I do that? Increase your income or come up with more money. We got it right. It's the math. The math doesn't care. If I want shorter than a 3.6 debt-free date, 3.6 years debt-free date, then I have to put more money in the formula. That $300 of discipline needs to come to 400. How the heck am I supposed to do that? Work more, spend less. That's the hard truth. Any questions with this? If you don't like the time frame, increase your capacity by changing your behavior or your lifestyle, or both. Any questions about lesson 2, saving and investing a significant portion of your income? Okay, let's continue with this one. We want to also automate the plan with automatic transfers and forced self-discipline. The fancy term is relative scarcity. I love sharing the example of she's a school teacher in New York, and she's on her way to become a millionaire. Often, actually, in the top 5, Dave Ramsey did a study on millionaires, and in the top 5, teachers are one of the top 5 millionaires as an occupation. Right? They make a lot of money. So how the heck do they become a millionaire? Why isn't it a stockbroker? Because of the way they live. So she loves this relative scarcity, this forced discipline. She makes a huge debt payment first. She doesn't pay the leftover amount towards her debt. She makes a big payment and then tries to live on the rest. And it's forced discipline, relative scarcity. Okay, here's a quick win. Open a high yield savings account. For your short-term savings, your emergency fund, open a high yield savings account. 5% versus 0.05%, right? If you're in the big banks, you're going to have 0.02% on your interest rate, right? So we want to go on. You can go to bankrate.com and you can see all the different rates that are advertised. And you can see, okay, this place is offering 5%, 4.3, whatever the rates are today. This is historical. Last time I looked with clients, they were around the 5s. Your savings rate is more important than your interest rate. You can't control the interest rate. And as soon as you go on bankrate.com and open that account, it's a variable rate and the rates will change. And now I'm not getting 5% anymore. Now I'm only getting 3%. Okay, well, you can't control that. but you can control the savings rate. You can control that $300 capacity that you're chucking at your goals. Discipline brings freedom. Discipline can be hard. But these are the success clues of the millionaires. So work on what you can control, your interest, your savings rate. All right, lesson 3. Unless anybody has questions, feel free to raise your hand or jump in the chat or come off of mute and interrupt me. Lesson 3 is to have a long-term financial plan. Okay, so back to the lesson 2, right? In this one, right, lesson 2 was to revisit those goals. Make sure you have a really long list of what reasons why. Often people don't have the stamina to fulfill the goals, right? To stick with the plan. And Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning, another great book that you should read. It's his neuroscience. He was a neuroscientist, a psychiatrist in Vienna during World War II, was sent to Auschwitz. All of his family perished there, and he survived and wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning afterwards. And he says that he who has a strong enough why can put up with any how. So if you feel yourself losing momentum or disconnecting from your goal and not doing what you used to do, you might have disconnected with your why. You need a longer list. So think and ponder, like, why do I want that? Why do I want that? When go 5 levels deep on the whys and the whys and the whys to find out, what am I really here for? And if you lose momentum, you need a longer list of whys. Here's a brainstorm. You got to actually live your budget. Often clients, it's easy to create budgets. It's hard to live them. Most people I say, oh yeah, I've got a budget. And I always ask, do you live it? Well, not exactly. Why am I in the negative? Well, because you didn't live your budget. So we want actuals, not averages. A lot of people will look in the past and say, well, on average, I spend this much. And so my budget is going to be this much. We're not here to budget on averages. We're here to budget on actuals. So you've got to come down to, what am I going to do in June? And that's going to be different than May. May can influence June. June can influence July. You got to look forward and say, okay, this is coming. I need to prepare for it. Maybe I need some sinking funds, but I've got to live it. And I've got to learn to start saying no to myself. That's so hard. Right? My son is learning driver's ed. And we have to learn. When it says yield, that's what you do. When it says stop, that's what you do. A budget is just the road signs that tell me when to yield, when to stop. Right? I got to actually live it. Accelerate your plan. Accomplish your goals as quickly as possible. Run towards your goals. Don't just walk. Right? I always had a mentor. He always said that life is not a dress rehearsal. So we've got to live it, and we got to accelerate it, right? We want to get there as soon as possible. I have one client, she said, you know what, my goal is to not die over my keyboard. Yeah, let's get to retirement. How are we going to do that? We got to live it, and we got to accelerate it. And review and adjust it frequently. That's why we have budget committee meetings often. All right, before I move on, any questions with anything in lesson 3 from the Millionaire Next Door? If you have a brainstorm or an aha moment, we would love to hear you say it. Put it in the chat or shout it out. If you look at some of these things again, it's not rocket science. They're simple ideas. These are the success clues of the millionaires that live around you. You just don't know. They're not flashy. All right, lesson 4. Own your own business. Interesting. This is an interesting topic. A lot of clients are employees, but there are more millionaires are self-employed versus having a high salary. Right before this session with my last client, we were talking. He's a trucker. He drives truck doing hauling logs for the lumber industry. And we were talking about, well, maybe if I bought my own truck, I could make more money, and I wouldn't be so reliant on somebody else. And we went through this together and are identifying, is there an opportunity for him to own his own business and change his finances based on that? So this topic might scare some people. I was fine with everything up till now. Now it's a little nerve-wracking. Starting my own business. Now there's risk involved. My mother was a school teacher. We didn't do risks. You know, like you just have it, right? School teachers don't make a lot of money, Brian, but they always are in need. So she was very risk averse, my mother. But we want to identify what business should I start? I've had clients that will try to start 10 of them. And they're always just chasing some, this is the bigger, better deal, and this is the easier business. You got to be careful with that because you'll lose a lot of money starting all these businesses and just looking for quick wins. So this is an important model. Identify, this is the CPO model. It is your competence, your passion, and the opportunity, what the O stands for, right? The organizational need. I call it the societal need. If you're an employee, you look at the organizational need. If you're a business owner, you're looking at the societal need. What will someone pay me to do? And if you can find the nexus between competence, passion, and societal need, that's where you have extraordinary results. Let me show you the model real quick, just to show you, and then I'll come back. So this is the CPO model: competence, passion, organizational need, right? That's from an employee perspective, but from a business owner perspective, we want the societal need, what somebody's going to pay me for. And that's where you can, if you can do that and have all three of those, that's an amazing place to be. If you have competence and passion, competence is I can do something. I'm good at it. I'm trained. I know how to do whatever. A passion is I love what I do. An organizational need is there's a need somebody's going to pay you for. So if there's competence and passion, but no societal need, that sounds like unemployment. Nobody's going to pay me for it. If I have competence and organizational need, but no passion, that sounds like a drudgery. I hate my job because my heart's not in it. And if I have passion and organizational need, but no competence, that also sounds like unemployment because I love what I do and they'll pay me for it, but I'm terrible at it. Okay, maybe training is the answer there. I need to know what the heck I'm doing. There. Now, if I can have all three of those and I started my own business, there's some opportunity to really make some great progress. All right, so back to the lesson. As you're starting your own business, you got to look before you leap. And don't go chasing programs and chasing quick monies. And I've had clients that every time we met, it was a different business that they wanted to start. I got the Amazon thing. I'm going to make a e-commerce. Oh, yep, I'm going to sell this. And now I'm going to do this. I'm like, man, you just need to pick something and go for it. And stop being so flighty. Look before you leap. You got to do the research the market demand. Check the viability of your idea. Will it actually work? Okay, what are the startup costs? The truck driver, how do I get a truck? It's going to cost me 60 grand. Okay, we got to talk about that stuff. Right? Is there an opportunity to start a business without any startup costs? Yeah, and I've had clients that'll say, it's amazing the different business ideas out there. My mentor had a client. She became a refrigerator organizer. That was her business. People would hire her. I need help. Save me and help me organize my refrigerator. And she made money doing it. I have other like and it's really doing an inventory of her skills. One was the one I just met with. She said, "Well, I really like pets, animals, right? I thought I wanted to be a vet, and so I could do dog walking or pet sitting or whatever. Or what are my skills? What are my passions? What's somebody going to pay me for?" But be careful that you're not the only one convinced it's a great business idea. Everyone's going to love this and I'm going to make it. And then all of a sudden you have no customers. So you got to be careful with that. So we want to create a business plan outlining your goals, your target market, and the financial projections. What's the realities of these things? Okay. And maybe you want to seek the guidance or the advice from a business coach like me. I do the business coaching with my organization based on my background. I love helping business owners with my MBA. I love talking to just work through that, and it adds a unique dynamic to our coaching conversations. So if I can be of help to you with any business ventures that you want to start, I would love to set up a free consultation with you. Any questions about lesson 4, starting your own business? Does that scare you? Or you're just ready and raring to go?
I have a question.
Yes, Janet.
Yeah, I started a business after I retired from teaching.
Yeah.
People loved the product. It was baked pies. I started out to my home,
Mhm.
but um, it's what I baked it for events like some doctors at the hospital had, some type of party,
Right.
and I made about 300 of those pies. It was a lot of work.
A lot
And
of work. You know what it takes to do a lemon meringue pie then.
I made them like cupcake sizes, so it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But I spent so much money buying the equipment, and it
Yeah.
it
Right.
brought me into debt. Yeah, I
Yep.
had it for 7 years, then I
Okay.
closed it.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. It's
Yeah,
business is an interesting perspective. I talk with a lot of business owners, and sometimes, depending on how you run it, when I
yeah.
meet them, they hate their business. And they want to they just yeah, they hate it. They want to close it. They want to fire everybody just because they're just so angry at the business because they maybe they got into the wrong one. Maybe they got in over their head. I had one that he bought a newspaper and it's like a small town newspaper and it's really tough and it's draining him and he's having to get into personal debt for it and he hates the thing. So he just wants to shut it down. Okay, we got to talk through these things. So startup costs, Janet, you bring that up. I had to buy a bunch of equipment. So how can I get started with limiting those startup costs? I was just talking with another one of my clients. She was said, I can make soap. I can do homemade soaps. And I have to buy this equipment to compress it and make it into the bars. So we talked about that. How much is that going to cost? Is that going to put you into debt? Is there something else that you can do to make money and then use that money to then buy the equipment? I don't need to get into debt. I can cash flow this. She says, well, I also do homemade shampoos and conditioners. I don't like doing that. I'd rather do soap. Okay. Well, can you sell some shampoo? I mean, those are complementary products, just soaps, shampoos, conditioners, right? They could open up a whole beauty salon. Can you sell that without having to buy a bunch of equipment? Sell a few, then make the money. Don't use it for groceries. Use it to reinvest into your business. Retained earnings. Use it to buy the equipment. And can you get into it without having to do a huge startup cost? Because that you got to be really careful with that. Because then you're deep
oh,
into debt, and it's going to take you years to ever get out, if ever.
yeah, yeah. Because with baking, you had to get the mixer, you had to get an extra refrigerator,
Right.
uh, things like that. And
Trying to
then I
remember the
used
exact.
expensive products. I used butter. I didn't use margarine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. How you set up your business is very important so that it is sustainable. And often there's a book, I can't remember if it's Quitting or I can't remember the name of the book, but it basically talks about how do I transition from employee to business owner. It's not quit my job and then what am I going to do? And I'm going to start a business. This is a do them simultaneously. So I have my business, that's my stability, but I'm going to start doing this thing on the side. And maybe I don't go buy a mixer yet. I can use what I have at hand. So I can't handle 300 pies. That would overwhelm anybody if I don't have the infrastructure. But maybe I can start with 5 pies and I'm going to sell that, use the money, reinvest it into the business. And then I can do it again a few times. And all of a sudden now I have enough revenue and retained earnings that now I can buy the mixer. The business paid for it, not my family. I want my family to be protected and insulated. I'm not going to use my grocery money to start a business. Often people use it as a side hustle. That's one way to test it. Before I go buy a restaurant location and invest in all this infrastructure and buy it and start in a restaurant, maybe I got to see if anybody actually likes my cooking. Right? That a lot of places around here will do a food truck, and if it is successful, then they start the brick and mortar. So it's these ideas of how do I get into it with limiting my risk, limiting my overhead. All right, lesson 5. Be frugal. Back to the spending, right? Be mindful of your spending. Is it worth its cost and effect on my budget? Often that is, again, this is not rocket science. What do I want now versus what do I want most? And if you don't know what you want, then what's the point? Like, I don't know. I like this. This looks good. And you have to ask yourself the question, will this speed me up or slow me down towards my goal time frame? I use the example of I'm driving to Disneyland. And how many exits are there between me and Disneyland? There's a ton. And are any of them bad? No, I could have fun going down that road. But if my goal is to get to Disneyland by a certain amount of time, any one of those exits is a distraction. But if you don't know where you're going, how can you tell if you're late or if you're lost? You got to know. You got to know where you're going. Have a goal in mind. Be specific. Be creative with your being frugal. Meal planning, using coupons, negotiating, asking for discounts. Find the free fun. I have a family in Chicago, and like we're putting all our money towards our student debt, so we're finding free fun. And there's free weekend at the museum, and this and this or whatever, right? It's the principles versus the preferences. Principle is we're going to have fun. The preference is Disneyland or a trip to the park. Your preferences will make you poor or make you a millionaire. I have one client, she changed the way she did her meal prepping. She started to shop the sales, and that's what the menu was. And she said she cut her budget and her food budget in half just by being more intentional. Avoid the impulse spending. You got to slow down those knee-jerk reactions. Right? Be mindful of those triggers, those unhealthy coping responses. We got to watch that. Right? Spending often is a coping skill. I get stressed, and where's the credit card? I get stressed, and where's Amazon? Where's that one click? And people just it's a knee-jerk reaction, and they've built it that way. That I have. Why do you think the one click was built? Because you have a thought, you clicked it, and bing, it's at your house. People are like, I don't even remember what these boxes are for. Was that a need or was that a want? Why aren't you a millionaire? Because it's in my Amazon box. They don't deliver millionaires. You avoid that stuff. Another Viktor Frankl. In between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. And in those choices lie our growth and our happiness. Sometimes that space seems like a millisecond because I have a stimulus and response. Right? I'm hungry and DoorDash shows up on my door. I have a thought and Amazon shows up. We got to spread that time between the stimulus and response. You got to slow it down. Maybe it's we think about our purchases. Maybe we don't make any purchases on the same day. We learn about it. We got to wait and see, and we plan it and say, that's a great idea. I'll put you in my budget. And the salesperson says, what's that? Right? We got to slow it down. Avoid the impulse spending. Be mindful and intentional. Any questions on lesson 5? Janet, got your hand up? I don't know if that was from before. No? Okay. The lesson 6 is avoid debt, right? That's baby step 2. Start at the very beginning. We got to avoid the debt. So get that baby step 2 off your back as soon as possible. Use the debt snowball technique. That's paying off the smallest balance first. It's not about math. It's not about the interest rate. It's about the psychology. Because if I feel like I'm getting close to the end of the tunnel, that creates momentum. It creates success energy. And that's what we need to get through the big loans that are later on. But this student loan is the biggest, but it's at 8%. Well, get this stupid $300 credit card off your back and feel the burst of momentum and speed that says, this thing actually works. I can actually do this. I'm making progress. I had one client, she had 39 lines on her liabilities of all these buy now, pay later assurance things, and they were all $90 and $100 and all these little death by 1,000 cuts. And we just start working through them. Hey, I'm down to 35, I'm down to 29, now I'm working, and you start feeling the progress. So we want to get out of the past, but we also want to avoid it for the future. So avoid all future debt. This is a decision. You draw a line in the sand and say, no, I'm not going to do it. And it will test you. And I have clients all the time. Well, but it's on sale, or our car is going out, so we got to get debt. It took me an hour to talk one client through because they're like, we're having a baby, so we need a bigger car because we don't fit in the sedan anymore. Okay, that sounds reasonable. What do you want? I want the Infinity SUV. I'm like, oh my goodness. How do I talk you off the ledge? And it took me 45 minutes to get to the point. At the end of that conversation, she said, that both of them said, maybe we'll just buy a nice used minivan. All right, that's mission accomplished. That took a lot. This debt is so familiar to everybody. They're like, well, you always have to have a car loan. You always have to have debt. Like, man, you have drunk the Kool-Aid. You don't have to have the debt, right? You can use sinking funds to prepare for the future. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I'm going to start saving now for Christmas so I don't go into debt for it. There's an amazing thought. I'm going to start saving now for the car I need, or the whatever I need in the future. Start saving now. Don't use a credit card. I've got clients, but I pay it off every month, so leave me alone. It's not about the interest rate for you. If you have a credit card, but you always pay it off and you never carry a balance, congratulations, you've avoided the first reason to avoid a credit card, the interest rate and the debt. But I don't have debt. I pay it off every month. Okay, then the second problem is for you. Spend creep. I spend more with a credit card than I do with cash. Right? Physically, I have to stop because the cash is, I'm out of the money in my envelope or whatever, right? That's the ultimate way of stop because you have no more money. But if you shop with $100 bill versus shopping with a credit card, you shop differently. You know when to stop because I don't want the embarrassment at the checkout line to have to put something back. But with a credit card, like, whatever, I'll pay it off. I don't pay interest. No, but you overspend. You have a money leak somewhere. So be careful with that credit card. Here's an interesting question. Is debt ever okay? A lot of people are like, no, Dave Ramsey always says never, always pay it off. Have you ever heard him say that you need to get a car loan on that, or maybe you should get a credit card for that? And everybody falls out of their chair. It has been known to happen. Why? If it's an emergency. And sometimes a true emergency, don't go convincing yourself that, it's buy one, get one free tonight at pizza night. And that's why I've got to get my credit card. Not an emergency. It's got to be a true emergency. After you stop all of your other baby steps and your baby step 3 emergency fund is still insufficient to cover it all, what else are you going to do? You might have to get a loan for the rest. You might have some medical emergency or some home disaster. And I'll speak from personal experience. We had a mold disaster and we had to stop putting extra towards our mortgage. I was wondering if we should just declare bankruptcy and just burn the stupid thing down because we were homeless for 5 months and it was that bad of a mold disaster. More details if you want it. That's my Job story in my life. But I had to stop put extra payments towards the mortgage. I had to stop saving for the kids' college. I had to stop investing. You see me going backwards on the baby steps? I had to stop. I had to use my entire stinking emergency fund and $45,000 worth of mold disaster recovery remediation. I had to get a home equity to cover the stupid thing. So I'm back at baby step 1. But I know how to rebuild. So I had to get a loan. Is debt ever okay? Well, that was a true emergency. It wasn't the boat show and they're having a heck of a deal. So let's get a boat, honey. Right? So often what it's not okay, here's a new formula I just created with a client just a couple of weeks ago, was often we feel I deserve it. I'm stressed, I had a hard day and I deserve it. Plus, it totally is a need, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, honey, it's a need, right? And impatience. That's what leads to debt. Feelings of I deserve it, it's a need, and I can't wait. That's where consumer debt comes from. Versus, is it really a need? Maybe we just need to have more discipline and patience, and I need to have a sinking fund for it, and I'll have it, but it's going to take me a few months. Any questions on the lesson 6? Okay, rounding it up here, lesson 7. We want a high level of financial literacy. You've got to understand this world. And often people avoid it. I don't like math. I don't like money. I feel diminished by it. I feel small. I feel incapable, right? There's a ton of emotion when it comes to money. Often it's how we were raised and what we grew up in. And do I have a scarcity mentality or an abundance mentality? How do I feel about debt? How do I feel about wealth? Do I know how to manage my money? Did anybody put me through financial ed, like driver's ed? Right? So spend the time learning about this world. Understand how money works.
Hey, a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Just wondering, do you have any like suggestions for books or anything like
Yeah.
financial literacy for dummies? Or because I'm not a math person, and just I guess like how successful people and like investing in the stock market and knowing like what to invest and when to sell, and not even just stocks but like in general, like how the Roth IRAs work and how all these things work. That's part of the literacy. So like I have no idea, and I'm curious enough, but I just don't know where to really go
Yeah.
to learn it
Where
in
do
a
I
way.
start?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where do I look that they're not just trying to sell me something?
Right.
Because investment advisors, right? They, depending on the investment advisor you find, they might be really anxious for you to transact and they need you to churn because that's how they make their commissions. So is this
Yeah.
an asset under management portfolio that they just get they're helping me and they get 1% of the assets under management, or is this they get a commission every time I buy and sell, and they might not be pushing my needs. They might be pushing their needs because they got to pay a car payment to make.
Right,
So
not
that's
even
a
that.
great
Like, is there like a book or
uh,
any information out there? Like, I mean, I'm sure I can find it on YouTube and tons of people talking about what to do, but just something like an audio book or
sure.
a regular book. Is there something you would recommend or know of?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. This one, right? The book we're talking about right now, The Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah,
You can
okay.
read that one. Another one I recommend is the Richest Man in Babylon. It's an easy one for when I'm teaching kids. It's a parable of this man in ancient Babylon, and it's an interesting one going along with starting your own business. Right? Read that one. Don't invest your money with the brick maker trying to buy jewels. That's a nudge to read the book if you know what I'm talking about. You know that example. Know what you're getting into. So yes, you're right. You got to know what you got to understand. So where do I start? There's a ton of voices out there in the financial space. Nikki puts in the chat the Worth It, The Young, Broke, and Fabulous by Susie Orman. Right. That was so there's a lot of voices in this space, right? Dave Ramsey is one I personally tend towards, right? Simple, it's easily digestible by a lot of people. The Total Money Makeover, you could read that one. Okay. Everyday Millionaires, that's another one out of the Ramsey group. Baby Step Millionaires, I think, is one of his books. Anyway, Susie Orman is I've enjoyed some of the things that I've read from her. What Robert Kiyosaki, that one you might want to watch out for, because that one is going to tell you the exact opposite of what Dave Ramsey teaches you, and just go get into debt and get real estate. Back to what you had said is the like, when do I buy, when do I sell? Often it's we're chasing money instead of having a strategy that is it's the tortoise versus the hare. If you want to be a millionaire, I have a client and he's like, I got to be a millionaire. I got to have all this rental properties and all this real estate. And he's impatient. He wants to be the hare, not the tortoise. And right, Aesop's fables, you got to be the hare, or sorry, you got to be the tortoise. Slow and steady wins the race. So a lot of books.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah,
what do you think? Because I'm also listening to Ramit Sethi. Have you heard of
yeah.
him?
I just finished his book. Yep.
So what do you think about his advice?
Some of I was like, yeah, I agreed with it. I think he has a different opinion on debt. And so there's
Yeah,
not, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. And so as
right.
you listen to him, he has a new documentary I was starting to watch on YouTube. I'm a nerd, so if you want to talk about books, let's talk because I'm always reading this. I just watched one documentary on Netflix was something about professional athletes and how they're all broke. These guys had a $30 million contract and now they're broke. So it's not about
Yeah.
how much you make; it's about what you do with that money. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
that send me an email and we can share some more a book list. I should put one together. That's a good nudge for me. So thank you.
All right. Cool. Cool.
But
Thank
start
you.
with that. Yeah, you bet. There's a lot of good resources out there to help you get started. And that's what I just said right there. You great segue. You got to educate yourself. So read, listen, participate, come to this group session, right? Seek advice and accountability from a financial coach. All top performers have a coach to increase their performance and overcome their blind spots. If all you know is what you have blind spots. And the coach can ask you questions about things and make you get out of the emotions and focus more on the strategy and say, oh yeah, maybe that's something I didn't think about. Even professional athletes have a coach. Me and all of my coaches, that's what we seek to be, is that advice and accountability partner for you so that you actually live plan and understand the risks and the rewards of your decisions, right? Slow it down, do the math, seek outside counsel, somebody that has no skin in the game. Don't ask the real estate agent if you should buy a house. Don't ask the mortgage lender if you should get a loan. Wrong people, right? Don't ask your broke brother-in-law. He doesn't know either. So be careful of who you are listening to. And you got to stay up to date because things change, right? The laws change, the limits change. What's the contribution limit on a 401k this year? It's different than last year. HSAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs, all that stuff is constantly changing. So you got to seek that competent advice and stay up to date. Just often it's the fear factor. I don't know. I'm intimidated, right? This is a scary area. I have an MBA and I hated the finance classes, right? They'd have these crazy long formulas to talk about the risk levels and the beta of an investment. And I'm like, I'm in the wrong industry. And I mean, like calls and puts and investments, like you can drown in that kind of stuff. So just start becoming aware, right? You don't have to eat the elephant all at once. But I'm going to get a book. I'm going to listen to Dave Ramsey's podcast. I'm going to watch some stuff on YouTube. I'm going to go try to just be aware of things so I can learn about the language of money. Right? You can't escape it. You can't run from it. And those that do regret it later and they wake up and say, holy smokes, I'm really close to retirement and I am not ready for it. I've had so many clients that say that, I had my head in the sand all these years and now I'm trying to make up for lost time. So please don't lose time. This is not a game, right? I'm not trying to over dramatize it or scare you, but it really is like you need to be mindful. You cannot stumble into wealth. You can stumble into debt. We don't want to do that. We want to get out of debt. We have to be mindful. And it's not a race. It's you are running your own race. Don't compare yourselves to anybody else. Even the people within our group here. Well, they're on this baby step. They're not running your race. They don't have your life. They don't have your limitations, your capacities, your opportunities, and your realities. Every single one of us comes with a totally different background to the game of money. But every single one of us can win based on how we act. All right, here's your homework, because there's always homework, and I'm going to ask you about it next month. First off, determine your financial goal. And maybe it's just, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to listen to a podcast. Figure out what baby step you're on. Figure out what is the next step and why do you want to get there and accelerate your pace, right? Make sure it's a SMART goal. We've talked about that in past meetings. Determine your why behind that goal. Like I said before, make a longer list. You better have at least 20 reasons. 20 reasons? That sounds like forever. It is forever because the first 5 are the easy ones. The next 5 are the weird ones, the wacky ones. And then your brain really starts to go to work and you're like, oh, I didn't know I felt like that. Yeah, because you only started stopped at the surface level. Go deep and find out your reasons why. That gives you lasting power. Create a plan and live it. Emotions will start you on a path, but the emotions do not have sustaining power to keep you on the path. We want to rise to the level of our aspirations, our hopes, and our emotions, but we fall to the level of our plans and our routines. So make a better routine. Live the routine of the millionaires. Don't expect perfection, right? You got to be patient with yourself. Adjust as necessary. Be intense on the inputs and patient with the outputs. You cannot control the outputs. And you might be going full board and life throws you a monkey wrench, as it did me. But you learn, you recover, you pivot, you bounce back. And I was at baby step 6. I went back to baby step 1 from a mold disaster, my Job moments. Thank goodness a couple years later, now I'm back to baby step 6. How? Because I know how to do it. My inputs haven't changed, even though my outputs, life happens sometimes. So get an accountability partner or a financial coach. If me or my coaches can be of service to you, we want to help you. But if you need help, get it. And if you don't need help, prove it. Here's you've been given notice. Prove it. Live it. Right? So I want your success. I'm rooting for you. This again, invitation to connect. There's my YouTube channel, my reviews. I'd love you to leave a review so other people know what I am all about and what I'm here to do and helping people. And connect through my website and share it with others so that they too can benefit from this information. So I'll send you all a copy of this recording. Thank you for the extra time. I know we went a little long. This is a good topic and one that bears continued on conversation. So ask your coach, reach out to me, and we'd love to be a part and help you. Kim, does your hand up, your the emoji. Sometimes the Apple, if you have an Apple device, when you give things like you interact, it thinks it puts emojis on. So it's kind of weird. So I don't know if you had a question or anybody else have any questions or comments here at the end.
Can you consolidate your debts? Is that
You
wise?
can, yes, you can do a debt consolidation. They don't often work because we don't change. Why do debt consolidations not work? Is because I didn't make any difference. And I can tell you multiple examples of people that I've met. And as we go through their debts, we say, there's this personal loan for 13,000. Okay, interesting. Where did that come from? Well, a bunch of credit cards I consolidated. Okay, what other debts do you have? I have another personal loan for 14,000. Where's that from? Other credit cards. Okay, what else do you have? New credit cards. It's changed. No, the debt consolidations don't change anything. They don't create wealth, right? They don't create income. You have to change your behavior. Discipline is the answer to get out of debt, not a debt consolidation, some magical program that'll make it all go away. Bankruptcy doesn't create income. So we got to be careful with that. Kim, you came off of mute. Did you have a comment, question, anything?
Now, as far as own business, I'm looking at becoming a virtual assistant. I have the skill set right now. So what I have to do is invest in my community college to get my certification in Microsoft Excel. I'm increasing my PowerPoint presentation skills. So I'm gonna take what I have now that I've been working in the federal government for 40 some years and take it in private industry and see if I can turn it and see what I can do out there.
Awesome. You all have skills. Often we just become blind to our own awesomeness. And our skills become wallpaper. That phrase comes from the first time I put up wallpaper, I'm like, wow, look at that wall. Sure is cool. And then after passing that wall for 10 years, like, oh, I totally forgot what it was. Forgot it was there. It becomes wallpaper. It just becomes noise that we don't pay attention to. You have skills that there is value to, right? In today's crazy world of the economy, I can get online. I know of 2 people that are here tonight that have skills and they live out of the country because it's cheaper. Like, hey, I speak a different language. I can interpret, I can translate, I can do stuff. You all have skills, right? The knowledge economy is a crazy place you can teach. I've had friends that have taught English in China and like in their home to Chinese students teaching English at 3:00 in the morning. So you can make more money. You can influence your income. You are not a victim. You are the protagonist of your story, right? You decide whether you're the hero or the victim or the villain or whatever. So, right, live to your full capacity. Dream, right? What's the quote that it's not that we're scared of being incapable. Our greatest fear is that we're more powerful beyond belief. Sometimes success scares the pants off of us. So get out there and dare greatly, right? Brene Brown talks about that. Vulnerability, right? Here's a TED Talk for you. Somebody asked, I got books and stuff, and I just love this stuff. But go watch the TED Talk from Amy Cuddy. She's a Harvard professor. And it's the principle there is, I can't remember what the name of it is, but just TED Talk Amy Cuddy, Google that, you'll find it. But she talks about fake it until you
Make it.
become it, not make it. You fake it until you become it. You can trick your brain. There's body language that you can employ. There are things that you can do. Watch the TED Talk, and you'll learn. I got a client in 3 minutes. I wish I had 3 more hours with you all, but I got a client in 3 minutes. But that's a great TED Talk to watch and learn and become. So become what you want. Create your life. You are the author of your story.
Okay.
All right. I wish I had all night long to talk with you. I love this stuff. So if I can help you or with one of my other coaches, please reach out. I'd love to connect with you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. I forgot to post in the chat. Let me give you next month's link. So here in the chat, I will give you, there is the link for next month. So click that link before I close the Zoom so you can enroll in next month's group coaching. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight. Thank you for your comments. And I would love to see you next month to share the link with somebody else and bring them along. Good luck in your journey. Good luck in becoming a millionaire. Thank you again and
Yeah.
have a wonderful evening. Great
All
to see you.
right.
Thank you for being here.
Uh-huh.
Bye. You inspired me. Okay.
I'm glad. Thank you for being here, Janet.